Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about this architecture of database. So what is the architecture of database? DBMS architecture helps in design, development, implementation and maintenance of a database. So how to design a database? Suppose if a company required a database, they want to maintain a DBMS, then automatically, so what type of database they want to choose, how many users will be there, how to design this one, how to implementation this one, right? So these all will become under architecture of database. Designing, implementation and processing of a database is known as what? Architecture of database. So there is a three types of architectures are there: one tier architecture, two tier architecture, three tier architecture. Some of the members they can say as a n-tier architecture also. So, and these are all based on a database, developing of the database, right? So these are one tier, two tier, three tier architectures, all will be based on the number of users connected to the database. So how many users are connected to the database, that will be explained by using architecture of database. So number of users, how to implement, how to design, how to maintain, right? So these all come under what's architecture of database. Then suppose if a user send a request, how the request will be processed to the database. That all will be explained by using architecture of database. So in this one we will go with this first one, that is called as two-tier architecture. In two-tier architecture, directly interacts with the database. Directly interacts with the database. There is no communicator. So if you are sending the request directly, the system will receive that information, right? Presentation layer and database. Only two things will be there in this one. In the two-tier architecture, we are having only the two concepts. One is called presentation layer and database layer, right? So these are the two things will be there: presentation layer and a database layer. So there is no other communication. So the presentation nothing but what? Front end screen. The presentation nothing but what? Front end screen. The system which we can view, that is called as what? Front end. The screen what you are looking, that is called as what? Front end screen. And the back end, what is happening in this one, how the data is retrieving, right? Then that is called as what? Database layer or backend layer. Okay. So how to work with this one? Just here an example is there. A person is reserving the ticket from Delhi to Goa on particular day. At the same time, another person of the same other place, Delhi, is also reserving a ticket to Goa on the same day for the same train. Now there is a requirement for two tickets, but for different persons. What will reservation system do? It takes the request from both of them and queues the request, right? So just like as what is that, I'll take an example as a ATM machine of the two persons of the same joint account who are working, or they're in different places. They enter into the ATM machine and they want to take the balance. They both will get the information as 1500 rupees, and both they want to withdraw the amount of 1000 rupees. Then what happened? Only one person will get, the other person you won't get. Why? Because the server will receive the two requests and then they will do the process one after another. They won't do the process at the same time. If it is performing the same time, then that is called as what? Multiple operation, right? So multi-threading. At the same time, this two operations are going to execute, but it won't do like that. It will make it as a queue to retrieve the information. Okay. Once the request is received by the database, then the amount will be withdrawn. Then automatically the next request will take the balance. No, there is no sufficient balance, so automatically the person will get insufficient balance. Okay. So there's a thing will be there. Then what are the advantages of architecture? Easy to understand and directly we can maintain the database. Requested data can be retrieved very quickly when there is less number of users. Easy to modify, easy to maintain, right? So these are the advantages of this one. Easy to understand, requested data can retrieve very quickly, easy to modify, any required directly change requests are there that we can modify that one, then easy to maintain. Okay. So what are the disadvantages of two-tier architecture? It would be time consuming when there is huge number of users. So multiple users are there, then automatically maintain as a queue, so that it takes some more time. right? This architecture would be little cost effective. These are the problems are there. Then we'll go with this next one, or is that three-tier architecture. So in this one we are having the three types of the layers are there. See, presentation layer, application layer, and data layer or database layer. What is the presentation layer? The front end screen, what we are viewing, what we can view, right? So how we can view, that is called as what? Presentation layer or user layer. This is the layer where users uses the database. It does not have any knowledge about underlying the database, but simply interacts with the database as with the software, right? The presentation, the front end screen, what we can view, right? So when I enter the information or searching something or getting the information by clicking on submit button or some other buttons, right? So suppose I enter some information, the data need to store. Then after entering that one, I will click on submit button. The data will be stored. Suppose I want to retrieve the information of the so and so record. I will enter the record number and then click on search. Then automatically the data will be displayed. But we don't know how this is happening in the database. But we are communicating with the database. That is called as what? Presentation layer. What is the application layer? This application layer is responsible for saving the details so that you have entered. Okay. So what you entered the information that will be saved by using application layer. Retrieving your details, whatever the information we are retrieving, that also will be saved by using application layer, right? This layer has all the business logics like validation, calculations, and manipulations of data, right? So this layer main work is what? Retrieving the details, sorry, retrieving your details, validation, calculations, right, and the manipulations of data, and sends a request to the database to get the actual information. So whatever the information you entered as a, suppose you are thinking that you entered your hall ticket number to search for the result. So once you entered that, the information will be stored, so and so information, then it will validate whether this hall ticket number is perfect or not, because it will be there as a 12 digits. So with the 12 digits are there name. Once it is validated, then it will send to the database to retrieve the information, right? So that will be done by using application layer. And the last one is what? Database layer or data layer. So what is the database layer? Where the actual database resides, where the database will be stored. Then from this application layer, whatever the data will be came for the database layer, it will search at this one and send that information to that, right, to the front end screen. And the application layer is a mediator between front end screen and back end screen, right? So front end and back end, it is the application layer will be work. Well, because front end we will enter the information, but we don't know how it is happening. Back end, the data will be stored, or the data will be returned from which is stored. So that the data will be stored in the place of database layer, right? But in the programs and application layer, when you want to use your details in the web browser, you request in send a database layer by application layer. The database layer finds queries and gets the data. So application layer will find the database layer finds the queries and get the data for according to your queries. So whatever the queries you given, the database will be provide that information. Okay. So this the work will be done by using database layer, where the actual data will be available. That is called as what? Database layer. So what are the advantages are there? Easy to maintain and modify, improved security, good performance, easily work with that one, right? So easily to maintain that information and improve, more security will be there because it's having the three layers. Right? So then what are the disadvantages? The three times that are more complex and little more effort is required in terms of hitting the database. So we need to learn something knowledge about the programmings to work with a three-tier architecture, right? So these are the different types of architectures in this one. Okay. So two-tier architecture and three-tier architecture. In the two-tier architecture, on application layer and database layer. In the three-tier architecture, a presentation layer, application layer, and database layer will be there, right? Presentation layer, application layer, and database layer. Okay, so this will be there for three-tier architecture. So three things will be there: presentation layer, application layer. That application layer, presentation layer is nothing but the PC tablet what we are viewing. Then application layer, where the servers will be work, and then database layer where the data will be stored, right? So this is the example. So client sends the request to the server, server from the server it sent to the database, again it will be back. Okay, so from the database it will send to server, server to again send to the client. Okay, so this is the three-tier architecture. Three-tier architecture, the server will be there, this is the presentation layer, and this is the application layer, and this is the database layer, right? Presentation layer, what we can view the information, whatever the information we send it to the presentation layer, from the presentation layer it will send it to application layer. Here it will validate that information, whether the process, the information which is given by the user, this information is correct or not, whether we need to process or not, that will be checked by using server. Once it is validated, then that information will be sent to the database. Database runs some queries and match that query and then send the request to the server. Again, the server will send to client. So three levels are there: 1, 2, and 3. So that's why it's called as what? Three-tier architecture. Okay, this is the thing about architecture of database, two-tier and three-tier architecture. Okay.